Children's Media: How Men and Women Are Represented in Disney Through Traditional Gender Roles and Why Parents Should Be Aware, by Sarah McElwain. Humans are constantly bombarded with the expectations to fit in society's traditional gender roles. Children are especially vulnerable to this media tactic and are easily persuaded, making them an easy target to be brainwashed to believe their gender is determined by their sex, and they must perform and act a certain way that is in agreement with these traditional masculine or feminine characteristics. Disney is one such media outlet that constantly enforces traditional gender stereotypes in its characters. In a peer-reviewed journal article entitled Post-Princess Models of Gender: The New Man in Disney Pixar, published in the Journal of Popular Film and Television, Ken Gillum and Shannon Wooden contend Disney cinema is one of the most effective teaching tools America offers its children. I argue that it is children's parents' responsibility to filter Disney media, generate conversation, and educate children on what they are viewing. Members of Disney Parent Pulse need to be aware of the stereotyping happening in Disney and Pixar films because it will affect their child's self-esteem, social skills, and gender expectations. I will outline the ways in which Disney has typecast men and women characters into traditionally masculine and feminine roles, where characters only perform tasks and complete goals that align with their gender. Masculine roles include the hero, breadwinner, and emotionally closed off, while feminine roles include the housewife, seductress, and helpless damsel. After hearing my argument, parents will be able to see that Disney can be harmful to children, and their authority is needed to help educate. Disney Parent Pulse is a panel of parents and adults who engage in surveys and discussions through membership on DisneyParentPulse.com, created by Disney. This group has a lot of power as a stakeholder on this topic because they are parents who have invested in their children's exposure to media and their path to self-discovery. There are two traditional gender stereotypes that can be harmful for a child's self-esteem. The strong male hero whose sole purpose is to save the day or rescue other characters in danger. In a study analyzing 26 Disney movies, 19 featured men and boys are portrayed as rescuers who save the day. In many of these movies, the men are rescuing the women. Men are shown as weak if they are unable to protect the women, or they are shown as scared if they lack the bravery to immediately step into a dangerous situation and take control. In their peer-reviewed journal, Ken Gillum and Shannon Wooden introduce a character stereotype called the alpha male, which promotes traits of dominance, leadership, and power in a human's social organizations. The phrase alpha male may stand for all things stereotypically patriarchal: unquestioned authority, physical power, and social dominance, competitiveness for positions of status and leadership. Hercules is one movie when the man did not fit his heroic model. Hercules wasn't born strong or brave and must be taught how to be heroic. He is a character that is shown struggling with his self-worth because of the pressure he feels to naturally be strong and brave. This is a positive film that shows young boys how to grow and learn to become who they are meant to be rather than telling them who they will be. A harmful character girls believe they must embody is represented in the beautiful seductress, who is a tease for men and is usually dressed in minimal or tight clothing. In the peer-reviewed journal article titled Gender Role Portrayal and the Disney Princesses, the authors note that numerous examples of sexism and racism exist in this Disney films, specifically noting the heroine's extremely pale skin tones, small waists, delicate limbs, and full breasts. In the same article, the authors discuss the Disney Princess marketing franchise. The Disney Princess line was created in 2001 as an advertising and marketing campaign targeting towards young girls. The advertising campaign aims to attract a wide audience of girls with the ultimate goal of encouraging children to personally identify with the characters so that they will purchase the associated products. This woman uses her beauty to get what she wants and is constantly placed in situations where people around her notice her beauty or look to her beauty rather than her brains or intelligence. Belle from Beauty and the Beast is a case in point. Her beauty is celebrated, but her intellect is ridiculed. In the opening song, the town sings, "I am afraid she's rather odd. She's nothing like the rest of us." Young girls see the way beauty is glorified and feel pressure to be that type of woman, even if they aren't. It can be harmful because Disney is blatantly telling young girls there is only one way to be feminine. The next two gender boxes Disney places men and women in can negatively affect a child's knowledge of social skills. The non-emotional man deals with high-stress situations by suppressing all emotions or acting out in violent physical aggression. Jackson Katz is a leading anti-sexist male activist as well as an author, educator, and speaker. His expertise is featured in a documentary focusing on the relationship between images in popular culture and the social construction of male identities in America. In the film, Katz asked young men what it meant to be male in today's society and got responses like strong, physical, independent, in control, powerful, athletic, tough, and stud. He then asks what the men who didn't conform to these stereotypes were called, and the responses included pussy, wimp, emotional, bitch, queer, and fag. A lot of these characteristics are associated with emotions or how a man responds to an intense situation. In 12 of the 26 Disney movies, men were likely to respond to an emotional situation with physical and violent behavior than that through the use of words. 6 movies displayed examples of males using physical and verbal expression during conflict. Obviously, Disney's physical aggressors outnumber Disney's more sensitive male characters, but the stigma still exists in our culture that tells boys not to be in touch with their feelings, and as we can see, this starts young in children's media. The helpless damsel in distress is the harmful feminine stereotype that can affect a girl's social skills. This character is usually seen as weak and unable to save herself from harmful situations. In Disney movies, it is noted that the princess never did a final rescue scene without the assistance of a prince, aside from Pocahontas and Mulan, with both feature the princess in a position of power during the final rescue scene. In some cases, the princesses are shown as strong and independent throughout the majority of the movie, and then at the end lose their strength and need rescuing. For example, in Aladdin, Jasmine regularly stands up to her father, but in the end is rescued by Aladdin. This woman is often shown as extremely emotional as she waits for a man to rescue her from her doomed fate. A humorous observation of feminine characteristics made in gender role portrayal in the Disney princesses notes the cliched collapse and cry. A character is shown hiding her face while hysterically crying by visible shaking or sobbing. The character must throw herself on or against something, a bed, the floor, a rock, in a statement of physical and mental helplessness. Do these traits show girls respectable social skills? What does these images teach young girls about crying to get their way? That it is what's expected of them. Associate professor in the Communication Studies Department at Colorado State University with an expertise in rhetoric and gender, Dr. Katie Dipson, shares her knowledge of these stereotypical gender roles that continue to hold value in our society. It's a proven formula of traditional scripts that have been around for a long time. They are seen as acceptable. They are part of how we tell stories of fantasy and romance, but that doesn't mean they aren't harmful. There are 2 traditional gender stereotypes that can be harmful to a child's knowledge of gender expectations. Men are represented as the working man, a breadwinner who holds diverse jobs, usually of high status or importance, and is rarely shown doing domestic chores in the home. These traditional characteristics are specifically harmful to a child's perception of their gender expectations. Wiersma found that men were portrayed in a variety of jobs outside the home on 26 different accounts. Such jobs included governor, salesman, chief, lawyer, sailor, space ranger, and musician. When it came to the male characters performing domestic tasks, Wiersma recalls only 4 examples. These films included Pinocchio, Jungle Book, and Tarzan, which are all 3 of animations with the least amount of reality exhibited. Women are being represented as the domestic housewife, a romantic who spends her days doing chores and working in the home, or in jobs seen as traditionally feminine. In the same study as above, Wiersma found that women who were shown in out-of-home careers only 4 times, and their jobs included sheep tender and fairy actress. When it came to domestic tasks, there were 24 different examples of women performing such chores. The romantic housewife is often seen as wishing away her time until the day she can be wed to a prince. Out of the 16 films, only 2 featured female leads where marriage wasn't her ultimate goal. In a peer-reviewed journal published in the Journal of Early Childhood Literacy, Karen Woolwind, PhD, who is currently a professor in language, literacy, and culture at Indiana University in Bloomington, concludes, "This is true of women in Disney. Gender narratives in the Disney princess animated films often portray girls as innocent, waiting to marry and find a good family. Women are backgrounded as loving mothers." This display of gender in and out of the public and private spheres is harmful for young children to see. It is important that children see well-rounded characters in both spheres to fully understand that your sex doesn't decide your place in the workforce or in the home. Gibson responds to how parents can help children balance this in the home setting. It starts with how we model gender in the house. Use flexible gender roles to show children their parents are not binary, but rather the mother shares traditionally masculine duties and the father shares traditionally feminine duties. Keep talking to your children, generate conversation, and show them different ways to keep their minds open. Parents have a big responsibility in raising socially aware and respectful children. By becoming aware of these harmful traditional stereotypes, parents can begin to also have an impact on child's self-esteem, social skills, and gender expectations of himself or herself, as well as the people around them. According to theorists Peter L. Berger and Thomas Luckman, who developed the theory, the social construction of reality, a child undergoes multiple stages of socialization. During the first stage, which is called the primary stage, children identify differences among other individuals as related to age and capabilities. It is during this stage that children identify their role as a member of society. Sociologists believe that individuals learn their roles through a process of socialization, such as watching their parents or characters in social media. Because of this, we know that children are aware of their surroundings as well as what their role is in their surroundings.